Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
A heartbreaking finale for The Mandalorian Season 3 might be ahead of us. That is exactly what we are going to be discussing in this video, as we had a recent tease from one of the actors that had worked on The Mandalorian Season 3 with its finale, teasing a heartbreaking finale. This video we are taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well, as they read, the penultimate episode of Disney Plus's The Mandalorian Season 3 supposedly sets up a gut-wrenching finale that could change the Mandoverse franchise as we know it forever. The Mandalorian Season 3 is inching closer to its finale as Giancarlo Esposito's Moff Gideon enacts his grand plan against the Mandalorians in Mandalore. And so after a heartbreaking death and an impending betrayal, things are not looking up for the titular group of bounty hunter Mandalorians. The Mandalorian actor Brendan Wayne, one of the actors who brings the titular character of Din Djarin to life, teased what to expect in the upcoming Season 3 finale. Recently in the Instagram story of the actor, Brendan Wayne claimed that the finale might just hurt too much, indicating that it will be as heartbreaking as the previous installment, saying that, in full quote, "This next episode is gonna make you wish you hadn't asked for more. It might just hurt too much." Ending that quote right there. Also speaking recently with Collider, the Mandalorian showrunner Dave Filoni, however, had also shared that there are some moments in the finale where fans will be cheering and feel satisfied, saying that, in full quote from Dave Filoni, one of the writer and directors of The Mandalorian Season 3, saying that they'll fans have a lot to take in, and I think with any good ending, there's a moment where you're in it, when you're cheering and you feel satisfied, but then there's a little bit after where you think back to all the things that happened. Maybe you start to put them together in a different way, and you realize it's an ending, but there are other things happening out there in the galaxy that now you know more about. Ending that quote right there. We also recently talked about that actual quote there in a separate video here on the channel, and kind of like what that means, and my own thoughts and opinions is that it kind of adds on to the world building, like that there's a bigger and more expansive universe out there. Of course, it's Star Wars, it's such a big galaxy. However, I don't want to gloss over with what Brendan Wayne had said there about it kind of being heartbreaking and making us wish that we hadn't asked for more. He does play one of the body doubles. He's normally in that suit of the Mandalorian, like 90% of the time that we see the Mandalorian on screen, which is a weird thought to put in your head. And that it's not actually Pedro Pascal underneath that helmet like all of the time. But saying that it's going to be sad and that it's going to be heartbreaking and making us, wish that we hadn't asked for more episodes and for this overall conclusive finale here as well, makes me a little bit hopeful, I think, to a point that they're going to leave it a little bit more open-ended, kind of very similar to what we saw in the Season 1 finale, as that last shot had revealed Moff Gideon climbing out of that broken TIE fighter and revealing the Darksaber. I think that we could have something like that, except maybe in a more heartbreaking way. Maybe Mando never actually makes it back to Bo-Katan and the rest of the group by the end of the finale, and that's something that they would save for maybe Season 4 of The Mandalorian. Something that Jon Favreau, the writer and creator of the Mandoverse, had recently confirmed is to have already written, and he already worked on it with Dave Filoni and everything like that. The Season 4 of The Mandalorian, I think last I heard, was looking to actually go into development, in production and filming and everything like that, close to the end of the year. Anyway, just on the topic of that, it's going to hurt a little bit too much. What do you think might happen with this finale here of the Season 3 of The Mandalorian? What do you think he's referring to? I believe that it could honestly be referring to something as major as the death of Din Djarin as we know it, or it could be something more simplistic as to the rest of the Mandos kind of revealing to Paz Vizsla's son that his father had actually died and sacrificed himself. Which of course is sad, but having Din Djarin actually die would be pretty sad as well. Something that I have heard as a little bit of a fan theory off and on here into the regards of the third season of The Mandalorian is kind of how Din Djarin's been a little bit more sidelined this season, and a lot more of the story and narrative overall has really focused on Bo-Katan Kryze. That's not necessarily a horrible thing in my eyes, but of course I would like to have more Din Djarin in his show, The Mandalorian, and maybe give Bo-Katan her own show. But anyway, the theory kind of goes is that, they're kind of setting it up and preparing us as Star Wars fans out there to get used to not having as much Din Djarin on the screen because they plan on killing him him off by the end of the season. And this can also kind of be into reference, I think, as well, into something that I had heard as a little bit of a rumor, but I think might have been debunked. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I heard a recent rumor that Pedro Pascal and Jon Favreau actually got into it, like, on set of filming for third season of The Mandalorian. Like, they had a disagreement, they were arguing and everything like that. So maybe this could be, like, in a way, Jon Favreau's revenge as just writing out Pedro Pascal's character, although I highly doubt all of it and any of it, that they were arguing or anything like that. These are two really, like, chilled dudes, so I really doubt that. But let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Maybe you've heard more on that. Like, I'm not sure if that's something that actually even happened. I would like to leave you guys on a little bit more of a hopeful and happy, I think, mark here as we kind of draw closer to the conclusion of this video, going back to into reference of what Dave Filoni said about the finale for the third season of The Mandalorian, making it seem that we're going to be cheering and feel satisfied with this overall conclusion here as well. So definitely making us hopeful that there is going to be a much more happy ending than having, like, Din Djarin, like, actually die in the finale. I think that could be, honestly, like, anything. Like, the Mandalorians just have a happy ending. They defeat Moff Gideon once again, they put him in the New Republic jail, or they even, like, kill him or something like that. I've also been very hopeful time in and time out here into the regards of our Mandalorian Season 3 videos, is that we will actually finally have the reveal of Thrawn. He was showcased a little bit there in the Ahsoka trailer, but we didn't full on see him or anything like that. Also at Star Wars Celebration, there was also a leaked image that had been going around. We also talked about that as well. Anyway, as I had mentioned, I talk a lot about how I think that there will be an episode that might be a little more focused on Ahsoka and the Ghost Crew characters, with introducing them into live action for one thing, but then also taking these characters to set up for what we're going to be seeing in the Ahsoka show as well. So maybe having a bunch of, like, Ghost Crew cameos or something like that, I would definitely get pretty hyped over that as well. Anyway, the article continues by saying, in a separate interview with Collider during Star Wars Celebration last week, Moff Gideon actor Giancarlo Esposito teased surprising things in the upcoming finale for the third season of The Mandalorian. The Star Wars actor noted how integral Moff Gideon is to the grand scheme of things, saying that, from Giancarlo Esposito himself, info quote, "Holy, yeah, I think it's going to be quite a surprise of many fans to what really is happening. He's very democratic. He's with the council trying to bring people together, and so you see people relying on and trying to figure out who is going to be that all-powerful leader, like Thrawn. Right now, you've got Moff Gideon, who's in the mix. He's back after having been shuttered for a little bit. Obviously, he escaped, and obviously, he has ideas on how to divide and conquer." Ending that quote right there from Giancarlo Esposito himself, the actor of Moff Gideon. I want to have a separate video talking a little bit more on this into detail and into more depth here, but I think essentially what we're going to have here is that what we're already seeing actually is, like, Moff Gideon is power hungry. He wants that overall leadership, that, like, title that Thrawn does have. Thrawn is kind of like the main leader of all of these Imperial warlords that we saw in the previous episode of the Season 3 of Mandalorian. Stay on the lookout for that video by subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Anyway, the question kind of is posed of who might die in the Mandalorian Season 3 finale. Brendan Wayne's heartbreaking tease about the Season 3 finale indicates that not everyone is going to make it out alive in the installment, but who will die in the much talked about finale? Given that Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin was captured by Moff Gideon at the end of episode 7, the previous episode, the titular bounty hunter could be at the top of the list, unfortunately. However, the character's popularity and unresolved story with Grogu could save him from dying, and also the fact that it is his show. But then again, there is an underlying theory that I had mentioned that it does feel like that Din Djarin's have a little bit less screen time this previous season, so maybe setting things up to make us feel a little bit more used to not having him around as much. Another character who could meet her demise would be the Armorer. Some have theorized that Emily Swallow's Star Wars character is actually the spy for Moff Gideon, into reference of the previous episodes titled The Spies. So a lot of people have been trying to figure out who that is into reference into, aside from Elia Kane that we see at the beginning of the episode working for Moff Gideon undercover for the New Republic. I also want to discuss that in a separate feature video here on the channel as well, especially after she conveniently left the team behind just before they entered the Great Forge and had ran into that trap of Moff Gideon. It's possible that the Armorer is indeed the spy, and this betrayal could lead the other Mandalorians to take her out once and for all, betraying her as she had did the same to them. Meanwhile, other Mandalorians close to Bo-Katan could also end up dying, such as Axe Wolves or Koska Reeves. The pair demise could forever change Bo-Katan, but it could help help her become the leader that she really does need to be. And also, if you want to say Bo-Katan, go ahead, it is a possibility to throw out there, but I feel like her story is just starting. Now, whatever the case is, fans are all in for a roller coaster of emotions in the finale of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Of course, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. What are you guys looking forward to seeing most with Season 3 and the finale of The Mandalorian? I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions and overall theories. What do you think is going to happen? Is somebody going to die? Who do you think it's going to be? I would love to hear what you guys all think in the comments down below. And of course, until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great one, guys. May the force be with you as always. Peace out.